I'm Shane.
And I'm Bo.
We are your Kentucky Fried Critics.
Welcome back.
Episode 20.
2-0.
We like those round numbers
Nice
around
round,
here.
even numbers. I love those.
That's
They're
right.
easy. They're easy for me to do math with.
We're kicking off the nice new round number in a nice new year.
Yeah, nice New Year. Happy New Year, everybody. Did you have fun?
I hope so.
Did you drink tons of beer like I did?
Did you try any of them that we've
Yeah.
been trying?
Ooh, yeah. If you did, let us know in the comments.
Tell us what you thought about them. Let's compare our thoughts. Let's see.
That's a good idea.
You guys know, first things first, before we get into anything else, we'll go ahead and take care of our socials. The first one I'll do is Facebook. You know, Facebook's a nice, pretty easy one. It's facebook.com/Kentucky Fried Critics. No spaces, no hyphens, no anything like that. Nice, simple. Instagram, also simple. Again, these are simple, but easy to find.
Yeah.
You can at least say that.
All right, All right. I will admit, they're easy. Just they don't have that pizzazz. You know what I mean?
But so Instagram is also exactly like Facebook. So that, you go to Instagram, you're going to look for the handle Kentucky Fried Critics. No spacing, no anything, just straight through. YouTube always changes it up. That being said, as of people hearing this, it's the new year, so I will officially be really pushing on seeing about if they've closed that account down, maybe sending a letter to some kind of contact or support, or to be like, hey, can you do something about this?
YouTube overlords, I beseech you.
But right now, unfortunately, it is still the complete outlier. It does not have any of the words spelled fully out.
It's all wrong.
It is. So our YouTube handle is at KF Critics. So again, if you're going to look for our URL there, that's youtube.com/@KF Critics.
Just sticks out like a sore thumb, doesn't it?
It does. Or if you want to be real weird, KFC Riddics.
Yeah, KFC Riddics.
It all depends on how you want to feel like when you're typing it out. But yeah, that one is the outlier. We're going to hopefully be seeing if we can get the other one. And if not, we might be repositioning everything towards hyphenated, much like we have at our host's website.
My diabolical plan to take over everything has come to fruition.
All right. Well, now let me tell them why there are hyphens. Like I said, you just need to start saving those for after I say the hyphen, because you say it before and they still don't know why. We got to keep remembering that this is also being recorded for people who might be finding us brand new, so they don't know that part yet. So when I segue at the beginning of the website, they don't know that the website has hyphens.
It's true. I forgot my wibbly wobbly timey wimey.
So again, that does come from our website, which does have Bo's favorite hyphens in it. That might be what we position everything else to. And that's going to be shows.acast.com/Kentucky-fried-critics. He loves the hyphens.
I do. They make me happy.
So happy.
I'm a hyphen everything.
At this point, I think he has an addiction. We might need to get it fixed.
You'll never find me.
That one, we might be, now that we're in the new year and we can finally start to see what we can get at YouTube, we might be shifting everything to hyphens, because we can't change that one. That's just how Acast does it. Acast puts the hyphens in. That's why our episodes have even more hyphens.
Could I have been possibly brainwashed by our masters?
Possibly. You definitely are really into it, and they forced them on us.
I did.
It's possible.
I might be a spy.
But either way, you guys will know. We'll let you know. You'll see it in the new links. We will either have hyphens in all of them and be completely spelled out Kentucky Fried Critics, or we will have no hyphens except for the website, and it will have hyphens. But that wraps up the social. No. Every time I'm always like, that wraps up the socials, but I always forget to tell them we have an email. They can actually send us emails.
I do too.
If they need to, they can send them.
So it's like the last thing anybody ever thinks about.
Once we have a YouTube, don't you just naturally think that they're like, oh, they probably have a Gmail, because it's all the Google. Right? But yeah, so we do indeed have an email, and it is a Gmail. It is KentuckyFriedCritics@gmail.com.
Nice. Send us ideas.
Yeah, send us beers. Send us
us beers with fun, cool names. We'll try and match movies to them.
Or other pop culture thoughts. So let's go ahead and get into it. So yeah, we're breaking into the new year, and we decided we were going to go back to what we promised from the beginning, and we've only done one so far that was a non-movie. Now, in all fairness, we talked about it and we were like, we need to start doing more. And then we hit October, November, December. And I think we all know those movie marathons were too fun not to do.
Yeah, it's too much fun. We had to do it.
So we're just finally out of holiday themed months to be able to do this.
The holidays are over. We can do other shit now.
New year.
New year, new shit.
Right?
Yeah, that's the motto.
And so we're going to do exactly what we promised. I'll let Bo go ahead, introduce our beer. And since we're back to our contest, our game.
If you listened to last week's episode, I kind of lied. It wasn't my fault, Tony. But I said we were going to be drinking a Pink to the Past, and we couldn't get that one, could we? So we had to get something else. But it still ties in.
And it's still by...
The same company. It's the Mirror Twin Brewing Company's SuperDelic.
And so everybody got 2 clues because, again, we still put the right beer up on social media once we finally realized
we figured out
Tony screwed us over. Pink to the Past
and SuperDelic.
I think, obviously, we were going for Super Nintendo. If anything, this one worked out better than Pink to the Past.
Yeah, that one kind of leans more towards Zelda.
Like it's specific. Just like how the last one we did Knuckles. And so we kind of were shoehorning in
Sonic.
And then turning it to Sega.
Yeah. This one, we don't really have to do that. It's super.
And so again, this is a fun episode. Blanket us talking about something in pop culture.
Yeah,
and reviewing it and really getting into it.
Yeah, who doesn't love a Super Nintendo?
I love Super Nintendo.
It's one of my favorites. I'm slowly rebuilding my collection from the Super Nintendo that we had.
That's right. For anybody who hasn't listened to our Sega episode, you may not know this, but my Sega was his Sega. His Super Nintendo was my Super Nintendo. We had a great family
trade
console swap.
Yeah, the great trade of 95 or whatever.
And so we both had the same systems with the same games. The only thing that was different was when it came to Sega, I had the Sega channel. Like if you don't know what that is, go back and listen.
Go back and listen.
We definitely tell you what it's all about. Because of that, I had way more exposure to a lot of Sega games that Bo never saw. Whereas with Super Nintendo, we both played obviously the 10 to 12 or something like that.
They came in the shoebox, the Adidas box.
I don't know whose that was.
No idea. No one in my house wore them either. It was a magic Adidas box that just arrived.
I remember that's what they
video games in it.
And I was like, that's not our. But yeah, so we definitely had those. And then obviously Super Nintendo was a huge system, and I had it for a few years before the family swap happened. And so I rented a lot of games and played a lot of games. So
yeah,
there's less likely we're going to have some intersecting things that neither at least haven't heard of. Like maybe not played, but not heard of. We'll start things off with the ones that we had. Yeah, we had.
The ones in the box.
The collective.
Let me see. Hang on. Let me see if I can think off the top of my head which ones we had. What was that helicopter game where you flew the helicopter and blew shit up? Like Chopper Command or something like that?
Oh, I didn't know we had one. I definitely had played a lot of them on Sega. They were it was like Tropic Storm and Desert Storm. Or something weird like that. But yeah. Where you literally fly a helicopter around, you pick up people and save them.
You have to rescue hostages with your grappling hook and stuff. Yeah, I loved that game. I know we had Pilot Wings.
Yes, great game.
I love that game. I'm still looking for a copy of that one.
Probably going to be hard to find. I think that's one of those sought after type of games.
Right. They're expensive now too, probably.
Yeah, Pilot Wings is a great game. Again, for anybody who doesn't know that one, it's literally like a flight training simulator. Right? It's literally like, here are different modes of flying, master how to do them. So the first level is like, you don't have to, do you take off for the biplane in the first one, or is that the second level?
I think the second level.
The first one is landing, right? Like you start and you have to basically coast down. You're not even really
hit
landing.
The rings on your way down.
So it's all all different levels
challenges
of
like that. Yeah.
And that's it. It's just
and
a
it's
fun
super
game.
Addictive and fun.
There's a guy with a rocket pack.
Yeah, that was the best one. You had to use the jetpack, float around, and then land on the big bullseye. Or had the little meter bar that would jump back and forth, and
or
the get more
water
points.
Thing that had the bars that would move too.
Yeah,
and then there was the parachuting
one. That's the one I liked the most.
Since you were so young when we made the swap, this is definitely one of those things that I've never talked to you about. Did you know that there were bonus levels
Oh, hell no. I never got anywhere in that
I
game.
don't remember. Maybe it's like if you got a high enough score on certain levels, you would instantly
Unlock cool stuff.
You would go to levels where like you were a guy with wings for fucking hands, and you would fly.
Oh, cool.
We like tap the button and try to fly all the way across an area.
What was that game on your phone where you clicked it and the hat floated?
Yeah. Well, Flappy Bird and things like that. Yeah, it's totally like that type of game.
Nice. You see, I never got that far. I sucked at it. I couldn't fly.
I beat that. So okay.
I was good at the parachute because all you had to do was open your parachute at a certain time
aim a spot.
and then kind of aim at a spot. Yeah. I couldn't fly none of the other shit.
Okay, then let me blow your mind.
Cool. I like this.
So when you turn that game on, right? Mm-hmm. The opening shot is a blue sky, pilot wings.
Pretty, and it's got the little island over there.
There are 7 levels, and again, like we've already said, each level you like gain a new type of flight thing for each level, and then you still have whatever you did in the previous one. So like the first one is like just the biplane, then it's the biplane and the rocket pack, and then it's so on and so forth. You get the parachute, you also get hang gliding. I don't remember all of them. There's a whole bunch of them.
Hang gliding, that was fun too.
There's a whole bunch of them by the end. There are 7 levels of this. When you beat the 7th level, all of a sudden the game turns into one of those helicopter simulators. Oh. Exactly like that game. I mean, you're shooting things. Oh. You're shooting things. There are bases. You are saving something.
Nice.
And when you finish that...
Well, now I want it even more.
Wait. When you finish that, the game then reboots and you get harder versions of the intro levels, and the whole the intro shot is a night sky. Ooh. And it stays that way.
So you do like all the flying and shit in the dark?
Some levels are now in the dark, but no, I just mean like when like the start screen switches.
Oh, it switches to dark mode. That's cool.
Black skies instead of blue skies.
Now I want it even more. It's going to cost me a lot of money.
I told you it was going to blow your mind.
I'm going to drop $150 on a Super Nintendo game.
And again, it's only one level. It's only one helicopter.
Oh, I bet it's hard as fuck.
It's crazy. It's crazy because there's like
Is it bullshit? Like, do you only get like one run at it and it just goes away if you die and then you have to do the whole game over again?
No, that game had passwords, I think, if I remember right.
Thank God.
And so you just put once you get to the end, once you get to the beginning again, you can just put that password in and black screen again, and you're doing all the right stuff. Okay, good. It is really hard though. Oh, I bet. I spent days. And think about that for a Super Nintendo and like an 8-year-old. And an 8-year-old.
You don't suck at them like I do. You're good at these. So if it took you days, man, it'll take me 20 years to beat that. What are you talking about?
It was hard. Well, the days was just the helicopter. The whole game, oh man. That was
I'm gonna be 90 still in my like nursing home. She'd be like, hey, what are you doing, Bo? I'm playing my pilot wings. I'm trying to get to that goddamn helicopter level. There was a baseball game, the MLB
RBI, it was one of the big franchises of baseball games.
The best game, in my opinion, in the entire box. We played it all the time. Total Carnage.
Mm-hmm. That's the one that I was trying to remember the name of it during the Sega one, where I was like, it's like top down, and you're shooting around
and you fight big monsters.
It literally, if you look at the cover to the game, you'd think you were about to play Contra.
Right?
It looks like Contra.
It does. It looks like a Contra ripoff.
But it plays like Smash TV. It's top down.
Yeah, top down. You shoot all the buttons shoot you in a different direction.
Yeah. Exactly. You're not walking in the once you start shooting in the direction, that's when you start
walking that way.
It's a crazy game.
It was
super
a lot of fun. It is really hard by yourself.
Hard.
You got to have a buddy with you sitting there trying to run this shit with you and use the warp portals. It is borderline impossible if you try to skip those warp portals.
So we had Home Improvement. We briefly touched on this during Christmas time.
Yeah, during the Santa Claus episode. Go watch that episode.
That game was hard.
It was ridiculously hard for a game based off of Tim the Toolman Taylor.
When we were talking about it, I thought that I was like, oh, did he time travel? But I remember saying, and I brought back, it definitely was on like sound sets. He was supposed to be on
the set of Tool Time,
and they film other shows, and he's just on the back lot. It was some kind of weird contrived.
Somebody stole his shit.
Games back then didn't have to make sense.
It didn't have to make a lot of sense.
They're contrived stories for no reason. But I do recall like the power tools. Like I remember you could like use one to like grapple and swing across.
Yeah, it was the glue gun. You could and grab stuff and swing.
And then you could shoot a nail gun.
Yeah, the nail gun. You could upgrade the nail gun and get like the spread shot. That was awesome.
And then random other like short range, or not short range, but short lived power ups, like like
chainsaw. And
well, yeah.
Flame
Well, that was like one of
throwers.
your main ones, wasn't it? I thought that was like.
You had to find it.
Did you? But once you got it,
But
was
once
like,
you got it, if you got hit, you lost
because
it.
that was a good one because there was no ammo.
Yeah.
But yeah, that game was fun but hard.
Yeah, it was super fun going around with Tim Allen killing dinosaurs. If you really think about it, since it's supposed to be a TV set, wouldn't it just be guys in suits?
I don't know. There's no
So
logic.
now
Games
Tim is a murderer?
Games back then don't make any sense, dude. There's no logic to them.
This is what happens when you try to apply logic to games. You start making people into evil things.
Give me a second. Let me think.
I know we had more.
Balls.
Yes. I love that
the
game.
Balls 3D or
Balls 3D.
It was for people who don't know, and definitely if you know this game, let us know.
Yeah,
because this is one of those games. I loved it. Bo loved it.
This game is great.
It's a fighting game. All the characters are just made up of
different
balls.
size balls, different colored
Lots
balls,
of them.
and
Some of them look like skin tone, so they look like people.
So yeah, there was
some of them just look like monsters. There was a rhino guy.
There's a big like bodybuilder dude.
Yeah.
Named Buster. I liked him. When you killed your opponent, all the balls exploded and
there was a dude who could spin and turn into a
tornado.
Again, guys,
that's another one I
apologize, but we're working on like 25-year-old memories.
This is old memories,
30
right here.
years on some of these. Yeah,
I could tell you more about the games I have currently than the ones that were in the Magic Adidas box.
Yeah, that one was super fun. Like I remember that about that game.
Me and my friends would play that one all the time.
It was just so much fun for a fighting game. Like in an era of where like some fighting games
it was all
kind of
like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat,
where if you don't know power moves, you're just screwed.
Don't know the button combinations.
One friend would just wipe everybody out because he learned everything in the manual and shit.
This one was good because
it was it was like a straight fighting game. Like it had some moves and stuff, but like
it was good because you couldn't.
You weren't worried
unless
about
your buddy was the kick spammer guy who just keep front kicking.
You were all just so busy trying to get the crazy things to do. Like you wanted the rhino. You wanted to see the rhino guy turn in and charge.
Yeah,
you wanted to see the tornado.
Yeah, blast him into the balls.
You wanted to see the tornado guy spin around. So you generally would play with people that wanted to try to figure out how to do this stuff naturally and play long enough, not just like wipe out each other because you wanted to see all these things. It was
the problem with Mortal Kombat. There was always that one kid, and he'd just be like, he'd just wreck everybody.
Yep, no fun.
Because I'm not good at Mortal Kombat. I was always the guy just out in the first round. Did we have Mortal Kombat? No. I don't think we did.
Definitely not. I played a lot of it. I didn't have
My cousin Dwayne had Mortal Kombat, and I'd go up there and play it with him on his Super Nintendo. That was how I played it.
Let's see, what else did we have in that?
I can't remember.
It was Lost Vikings, right?
Yeah, Lost Vikings was in there. I did reclaim that. I have another copy of it.
Now that's a game. If people don't know, they need to play it.
That's my favorite one.
It is a platforming puzzle game. Because it's definitely platforming. You're jumping. You're killing guys.
Yeah, you have to kill people. And
but so there are 3 Vikings. They get kidnapped by aliens. Just forgive the plot, guys.
It's an awesome plot. I want this to turn into a movie.
And it's time travel too, right? It's aliens and time travel. They're traveling through time and space.
Yeah, because the ship is like a TARDIS. So it's bigger on the inside.
But so yeah, it's all about them just trying to get back home after breaking out of the ship. Like the first 2 levels are like
getting out of the cell block
and then escaping, and then it's all just like every time you do so many levels per like area type, and then you go to a new one.
There's a level where like you solve the puzzle and then you bust the engines after you figure it out when you get to the end. I think I've gotten to like level 30 something. I've never beaten it.
I've beaten it.
It is super hard.
I can remember, again, that's like a password per level game. Like, so the further you go, you get passwords.
My problem is always I forget the goddamn passwords because I'll quit playing for a while.
So this is what I did. I just, I had a book. That was the era of you would buy a full book of codes, and it would just be like literally the book I had was probably like, I don't know, it was pretty thick for, it was probably like as big. It was probably as big as 2 Nintendo Powers of the time, like stacked on top of each other.
150 pages or so.
And it was just literally like 20 games a page, and every cheat code / level code was the kind of game that had levels. So that way they were just in one place for you. And so I bought one that was a joint Super Nintendo Sega code book. And so, yes, it was very hard not to be aggravated and be like, I'm just going to the one. I'm going to skip this one. What environment do you remember?
I remember the Bubble Land because the password is
Okay.
BUBLE.
Did you make it to modern day?
No, not yet.
Okay, modern day has construction equipment with magnets and shit, and so you have to use those to... Before we go further, we started to say this. There's 3 different Vikings. They all have their own power sets.
Oh, yeah, we didn't tell
One
the
can
powers.
run and ram, one has a bow and arrow, one has a shield, and the shield can both block things and fly.
glide.
You do different things.
Use them to solve all the puzzles.
So the beauty of like the construction zone is like the magnet thing can grab the shield and you can start picking him up and the other guy can turn it off and make him glide wherever you need it to. It's pretty cool. Did you make it to the Egyptian level?
Yes, I have made it to the Egyptian levels.
I'm just trying to think of some of them I know for sure off the top of my head. The Candy World?
No, I don't remember Candy World.
So it's literally it's like Candyland. Like everything's made of candy. It's chocolate.
It's like Willy Wonka.
Maybe like the room. Yeah, the pure imagination room. A little bit like that.
That's what I was thinking of.
There are chocolate rivers. But the same type of bubbles bubble up from the chocolate rivers.
So there's chocolate bubbles. Ooh, that sounds awesome.
Then the last levels take you back to the alien ships. And you get to really explore.
You get to smack them around at the
end.
Yeah,
well, who else do you think's taking you back home? Like you find enough of these portals, but none of them are taking you home. So at some point you're like, we're going to have to ask these guys to actually do it.
Can do it. Take me home, asshole. Yep. Little Viking justice.
Now, before we go any further, because I know you love this game so much, have you ever played the sequel?
No, I can't find it anywhere.
It's on PlayStation. Or if you happen to have a Sega, it's on the 32X. Just weird tidbit for you.
Won't have that.
No, that's even stranger. I would rather just find the PlayStation one. Probably plays better.
Yeah, sure.
Again, it's the same 3 characters, but now they have like power up. It's the same alien concept, but now they've all gotten like weird sci-fi upgrades. And on certain levels, they turn into
Vikings.
I love that you said that because that's what it is.
Nice.
The head guy gets a bionic arm and he can grapple with it.
Fuck yeah.
I feel like the fighting guy just got upgrades to his fighting. So like the arrow goes further. It's not like it's more like a straight shot, not
out.
Yeah, it's more like a straight shot instead of a
big arc.
Yeah, because that made some levels.
That was a pain in the ass.
Some levels were really hard with that.
Wait for something to hit right in that perfect zone.
Yeah,
otherwise you're just shooting over its head.
It was awful. And then the shield guy, he just got like a laser shield. You know what I mean? His was also kind of generic. But also,
though. That's cool. I don't care. Better than wood.
On some levels, they all would also turn into They all had like a lycanthrope form, right?
Cool.
Some of them would turn into like a
werewolf cyborg Vikings.
Some turn into like weird dragonish monsters.
That's what
I can't even remember. There's so much. That the second one has a lot going on. And again, if you love the first one, it's just more levels with that kind of like puzzle
concept.
I think we've run the well dry of what we can remember that we had joy. Again, we had some others that we both had, but they just weren't great games.
Yeah, some of them were just like the ones you like never played.
Well, and this is the era of having 10 Super Nintendo games is a lot.
Yeah,
right?
That was a lot. Like I bragged when I'd go to school and be like, dude, I got like 12.
The reason I had so many,
to know like
some
5 of them were like I didn't play them
because again, like this is the era of for me to end up with that many. It was buying some that were cheap on sale, which it was probably for a reason. It's me getting some from family who didn't know the kind of game I played, and they just didn't know any. Again, it was probably cheap on sale, and they didn't know any better.
Baseball game came from.
No, Dad loved that.
Oh, was that Dad?
Yeah, my dad loved that game.
Yeah,
he was not good at it.
Neither was I. I mean,
no one is. That game was so hard.
hard.
All Nintendo, Super Nintendo era baseball game, like 8-bit, 16-bit, Super, like that era, 8-bit, 16-bit.
I liked making my own team,
like baseball.
That was fun.
Yeah, picking your colors.
The colors and stuff. That was like the most fun part of the game.
I was right there with you. The other games were definitely just games that I got by chance or I bought because I thought they'd be good. But again, that was just a risk you had to take back then. If you didn't rent it
Tiny
first.
Toons game, remember that?
Okay. That one was good.
I love that game.
Now Buster Bust Loose.
Buster Bust Loose. I have that. I found it at
That is a great game. It's so much fun. I definitely never beat it as a kid, but I got to
hard.
the last one. The last level is the space, right? It's like fake Star Wars.
Oh, I've never got that far.
Okay.
I've gotten
the last one is fake Star Wars. I've never beat it, but that's what the last one is.
Come on, man. Who are you talking to? You know I suck at games.
It is a hard game.
It is.
It is very difficult.
I've gotten to level 4. It's as far as I've gotten.
It's a fun game, though. Is that the football?
I think so, yes.
I love that. It's a hard level. It is a hard level.
It
took me a long time to beat that. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, but it's super fun.
That was one of those ones to beat that level. I had to farm extra men early in the game so that way I could just do it 100 times.
How do you do that by chance? Do you know how to? Do you remember how to farm
Man,
lives?
no.
Come on, help me out
couldn't
here.
remember what spot I did it at.
Oh, come on.
That is totally a long ago forgotten memory.
Damn it.
For sure.
I'm cursed to suffer, I guess.
All right. Now that we've covered that one, I definitely don't think any of the others are big enough to worry about. So we can go ahead and move on. So instead of covering just the ones we own together, do you want to do favorites? Do we want to stop and talk about peripherals? We talked about some of the weird things the Sega had to plug in. Did Super Nintendo have enough to really talk about?
I don't think it had any real like
It had
extras.
Well, it had the bazooka gun.
It had the bazooka gun that shows up in Super Mario Brothers movie, the best one.
Yeah, but I don't know if it had. You're right. I don't know if it's worth mentioning.
I don't either.
We can just skip right past.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Sorry I brought that up.
Sorry.
The
Super Zapper or whatever.
Well, again, by the
time
I was an age where I cared about a lot of those peripherals, I had the Sega, and it had 1,000.
Yeah.
You know, again, like we made that swap. You were real young, and I was like 8. So I was again right at the age where I was starting to play more of the games that you'd read.
Yeah.
And you'd do this stuff. That's when I had the Sega. That's when I got into role playing games. Unfortunately.
Yeah, that was more PlayStation 1 for me because I was getting into 8 and 9.
Yeah,
and I could read.
Yep.
And when I was a kid, I popped in the Super Nintendo. I was like, text bubble, get out of my way. I don't care what you have to say.
I get that.
It wasn't until I was an adult.
Well, again,
I was like, oh, yeah, these have stories.
Again, I said that, and I meant it when we made the swap. So again, one of my favorite Super Nintendo games, bar none, all time, is Chrono Trigger. Ooh. It's one of the greatest role-playing games of all time. I love that game. None of my fondness for that game comes from when I was the age that the Super Nintendo. Well, that Super Nintendo was at, because again, it was in my lifespan, and I owned one. That is not when my fondness for that game comes from, because again, when that game came out, I was not of an age I could read well enough to be playing a game like that, and I wouldn't have cared about a game that was all numbers. At that
wouldn't
age.
have gave a shit when you were freaking 7.
I remember Dad having some friends. They might have even been playing it at my house. I literally might have seen it being played at my house, and I don't even know. Well, they definitely played some Final Fantasy. I remember some Final Fantasy being played.
Nice.
When I was like 7. So, I mean, it's totally possible that I saw some of this one when I was young, and I just don't remember.
That's ones I need. I want Final Fantasy 3.
Fortunately, I know which Final Fantasy game they played because I remember, and it was Mystic Quest. So I'm not real proud of that being the one.
I've not even heard of that one.
Oh, you don't know what Mystic Quest is?
I don't know what Mystic Quest
is.
It's on
Super Nintendo. It's literally Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. That's the name of it. It is. I'm trying to think of a way to put this that's not going to offend people who are big fans of that one, because it has a lot of fans.
Fuck them.
Okay, that's fine. That's what, because I was going to say I don't know how to say this. It's for people who don't know how to play an RPG. It is super dumbed down. You can only have 2 people at a time. Generally, the story dictates those two. Like, it's the main character, and you go. Nope, it's the main character, and you go to a new area, and there's a new person with you at every new area. There is one guy, I think he comes back a few times. Again, you feel a little more bond with him. This is like I'm pulling way back here.
Is it maybe like a good RPG starter kit?
That was what it was made to be.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, if that's not that bad.
Shut up.
I mean, we're experienced.
I was watching 25-year-old men.
That's inexcusable.
Play this game when it was brand new, like it was
Especially
the most. Like it was.
Your dad.
No, my dad was not the guy. He was not playing that game.
Okay, I was gonna say my dad beat the Atari Indiana Jones game.
My dad was strictly My dad was strictly a platformer. Like that's the kind of game he played.
Mario all the way.
Mario, Sega for Sonics. Like those were his games.
Yeah.
He was not a role playing. He was I started
not
telling
doing
him.
it.
He'd watch me play some of my games that when I got into them, and he'd just be like, "Why?
Your character's not even moving."
He's like
clicking attack.
He'd look at me and he'd be like, "It's been 15 minutes since you've played."
Like, no, I'm playing right now, but your character hasn't moved.
Yeah, like no, I've watched. No, he's talking about like straight cutscenes and shit. Like he's not even talking. He's just like nothing. It's just them. It's like you are not doing anything.
You're watching a movie.
Yeah,
at this point.
Watch a movie. Go watch one. We own a lot. You
don't need to
do
watch
this.
TV. Why are you playing a video game?
That was how he was when he saw role playing games.
Really hate modern games too.
So again, you can understand then. Like I mean, he just had some friends that were slightly younger than him, and they were way into it. And we had a Super Nintendo.
There's better ones you guys should have been playing at this point.
This
is for like 10-year-olds who never played one.
Or young. It's, dude, I recommend playing it. It's the first one where
If I can find a cheap copy, sure.
what are the goddamn little cat things in Final Fantasy?
Moogles.
It's the first game that those came in.
Aw, I love a Moogle.
I'm pretty sure.
All right, that might be worth doing just to do that.
It's definitely the first one that they were in all of the advertising for.
Yeah, where you see him in the...
And so again, I can't think of any
pictures.
Final Fantasy pre-Super Nintendo that would have had major advertising.
No.
It wasn't...
Because it
wasn't a big enough game yet. The franchise had to get big.
I never heard of it until
Mystic Quest, dude. Mystic Quest was like advertised everywhere. There were commercials on TV for it. Again, it was the one that was pushed in America because they thought they were like, again, RPGs weren't big in America yet. They were like, this is going to be the way we hook people and get them into it. And they probably did. Like I said, I didn't want to offend people because there are a large number of people that was their introduction to role-playing games. And they have a very big fondness for it because of that. I, however... Like I said, with all other role-playing games that were on the Super Nintendo, did not meet that game till I was much older.
Oh, well, I was PS1 RPG kid, so my first one was actually Final Fantasy 8. I didn't get 7, I got 8. But we'll do that later.
Yeah, well, and again, I'll bring Chrono Trigger back up since I've already brought it up. Like I said, I didn't play it back then, and we
could do a whole episode of Final Fantasy.
Well, and that's broadly in the Final Fantasy universe. Did you know that? Because that's what I played it on.
Those are because there's characters from other Final Fantasy games in it.
In Chrono Trigger? No.
Is there not? I thought they had like people from 3 and shit.
No. But they do count it broadly in the universe because it was in the Final Fantasy Origins PlayStation 1 release, which is where I played my bulk of Chrono Trigger from. But again, it is a Super Nintendo game, and it's not like a modern thing where it was like remastered with new. Yeah. It did have some new so that game, in case you didn't know, Chrono Trigger.
No, I never played it.
You've never played Chrono Trigger?
No, I never got to play it.
Okay, well then the story was written by Dragon Ball Z.
Akira Toriyama?
Yes.
Nice.
So when they decided to do the PlayStation release, they were like, oh, Dragon Ball Z is massive right now. The cartoon is everywhere. Everybody loves it. So they contacted him to then get his whole staff to do a Dragon Ball Z looking animated cutscenes for random parts of the game.
Oh, that's cool.
And I swear to you, like some people's haircuts are straight. Like Chrono's haircut is straight up just a red version of Goku's haircut.
That's awesome.
In these cutscenes. But beyond that, the PlayStation didn't add anything that wasn't already in the Super Nintendo version. It actually played worse.
Actually, it did? That's not what you want.
So there's a weird glitch in the PlayStation when it would load into any fight, like any fight you got into. And again, like that's the kind of game where you want to grind levels at certain areas. Yeah. It is just designed that way. And you can see the fight. So it's not even like random encounters. So you are purposely getting into fights.
Yeah, you're telling everybody what to do.
When they load into the fight, it takes like 15 seconds. There's a 15-second lag on the PlayStation before it lets you start doing things.
Well, that's dumb.
But on the Super Nintendo, it's a solid load.
Yeah, you're just right into it.
So you can see how in a game where you want to build levels, you're going to spend really way longer playing on the PlayStation than the Super Nintendo. Especially because, again, one of the key factors of that game is that it is about multiple replays. So this is one of those, you've not played it. I don't know if you know this. The game is designed where you can go beat the final, because it's a timey-wimey game.
Yay. Wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey.
You are traveling through time and trying to do different things in the timeline. Things you do in the past can affect things in the future, which is crazy for a Super Nintendo game.
Nintendo game, that's nuts.
You can open chests in the past that will then be open. Like you can screw yourself, right? Like say you find because certain things they're like magical chests, or so I don't remember, right? But so if you find them, if you open them in the past, but you haven't checked to see if they're still there, because again they might move. You don't know. Like that's how the game thinks of all of that type of stuff. Like people could move. Man. Well, people could move things, different things like that. But so if the chest is there in the future and you saw it there in the past, but you open it in the past, it's not there in the future. But the item you would get in the future would be a better version because they're usually like health items. Again, I can't tell you the logic behind, but again, like that's just how it would work.
Later in the game,
you would sacrifice.
You get a plus 2
it's not always later in the game because again, that's not how time travel. You are traveling to different places at different times. Sometimes it's just that you couldn't get to that area until later when you travel back there the third. You get what I'm saying? Like it's not
to go back in time before this wall collapsed.
It's not a super linear game. It's not like you're in this time, then you travel to this time, and then it's literally like you're in this time, and when you leave that time, you can go to 2 different times. You'll have to come back to this one at some point, but you can always still go back to the first one because things are going to be different now because of things you're doing here and here. It is very time travel, dude. Like, as bonuses, extras.
Somebody try and write down the whole thing for me. Just map it out. I want to see it.
Oh, it's crazy. And it's because that's what I was about to say. Like, this is one of the first games I ever played that had tons of side content, stuff you don't have to do because of the time aspect of it. There were so many things that you could find out information about in the future and then go back and fix something in the past because you found out about it. Like, it's crazy.
Super innovative for the Super Nintendo. Like, we're all super used to that now, but like back in like 1993, that was nuts.
There's 9 places through the game you can beat the boss, right? The first playthrough, if you wanted to, you could be level 3 and go to the final boss and try to beat him. Obviously, you're never going to do that.
You're not going to,
but the concept here is once it is a new game plus game.
Oh, so as soon as you get done, you go back, you still got all your shit, and you can just run it again.
But the characters are still going to come to you at the same time. So that very first one still comes at a time where you can only ever do it either with just yourself, or if you time it just right, you and one other person.
That's so fucking cool, though.
It is. And you have to get all the endings. Yeah. The game has, they say 11, but it's really 12 because one of them has like 2 specific parts to it. It's like everybody turns to cats, but in one of them something else slightly happened.
In true Super Nintendo fashion, everyone turns to cat people.
I don't even think it was people. It was a cat.
Just straight up cats?
Nice. I think. And man, it's been a long time.
That's funny.
It's technically 12 because that one has like a very slight variation on its ending. And so, you know, like people say 11A and 11B, but let's not split hairs. That's 11 and 12.
Yeah, that's 2 different endings.
If I have to count them by number, I have to still say 12 regardless of what you want to call it.
Right. If I have no other context than however many are in front of me,
I'm going to, if I'm counting bullet points.
Yeah, right. It's 12. There's nothing we can do about it. It's math.
That's what it is. Get it though. Like that.
Yeah.
You love role-playing games.
Yes.
So you understand
my favorite genre.
You love time travel.
I do.
And then a game where literally like with New Game Plus added on, like you then can beat all of those 9, right? It's all just gonna be about, so in theory, they want you to play the game a whole bunch, right? I did it from start to finish. Like, so you know, keep that in mind. Like I'm talking like the normal beginning.
Game.
Well, yeah, the normal beginning of the game and what is the actual ending. You know, like playing through no skipping to the boss before you can, right? Like actually getting to the storyline when you would see him. I did that only 2 times, but beat every ending. And what I did, when you beat the first one, when you beat him the first time, it's still really hard to hit that first
sweet spot
and be able to beat him because you're still not super high crazy level by yourself.
Yeah, it's going to be a slog.
The whole reason I could take him
fights.
I
love those.
Yeah, because the whole reason you beat him you can beat him that very first time is a teamed effort, and it's very much it's a strategy type of fight. Like you're probably not getting through it by brute force only. You will have to know.
Think it out. You're throwing out dirty trick items and things.
And so I did it, and I realized I couldn't do the second, right? That very first one. So then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try to hit every other one I can. And so you can save right before you go to him. So I would save, go to him. If I beat it, you get the ending listed as having it. And I would reload to that save point, go to the next one and get it. So I got all of them except for that one. And then I beat the game. Started the New Game Plus on the 3rd time and was able to beat him.
Nice.
That is not the recommended. It was still really hard. That last one when it was just I was able to get it loaded where it was me and you know the main Chrono and one other person, you know, another character. I'm specifically trying not to give out names because I don't want to spoil like
the game
for you. It was just the 2 of it, and so it was really hard because one of them is a healer.
It's like, oh shit, it's me and the goddamn white mage.
And it's like, how am I supposed to? Holy shit, this is really difficult.
I did not tank enough for this.
So it took a long time, right? Like it took a long time.
Bet.
A lot of like really figure.
Are they a really good healer?
Yeah,
at least? Okay, so they're just.
But it's still a lot of like.
Alive.
But it's still a lot of like mastering which heal spells to use when, because you know sometimes it's about protection, sometimes it's about this. So it's a lot of like trying to like really figure out.
Like, do I let you you die and then just bring you back with an item? Or do I heal both of us and hope we both make it?
Let's get off Chrono Trigger again. Like I said, I could talk. It's my favorite. I could talk about it all day. So let's go ahead and throw to you. What's your absolute number one? Let's let you absolute riff on yours for a while.
Super Nintendo game, like when I was a kid or now?
It don't matter. That one wasn't from when I was a kid. That's what I literally just went into that. Right. I said I didn't get into that one until I was older.
All right. Again, you're gonna laugh at me because I still haven't beat it after playing it for fucking like 20 years. It's the Lost Vikings game. But we've covered that one to death, so I want to go with Castlevania 4.
I don't know if I've
beaten Symphony of the Night, the one on PlayStation 1, but I can't get past like level 4 or 5 on the Castlevania 4.
I can't say for sure if I've ever beat it, but I definitely would say I've gotten further than that.
No. I've rented it all the time when I was a kid. That was
wasted too much money.
Yeah, that was the way. That was the one where it was just like every time we're like, "Ooh, you can rent a game." I'm just like, "I want to get this one," and then I found it at a store that no longer exists, and I'm very sad. It was called Game King. Go in there and you buy old retro games and stuff. But
a lot of those retro type game places, it was like a niche thing for a long time, and then it died quick.
Yeah, and it's gone. It makes me sad. But I found it, and I paid way too much for it. I paid like $75 for this game. But
did you say that right now? But I'm going to tell you,
it's cheap now.
No, it was probably a lot. But I'm telling you again, I said we'd stop about Chrono Trigger, but I got to say, you brought up pricing.
Yeah.
And I saw in the same store, I'm pretty sure, I saw a copy of Chrono Trigger, and I would have bought it. It was $125 or better dollars.
Yeah, I would have paid it probably.
Because again, dude, like Super Nintendo, Sega era games, you don't really have to worry about like anything. It will work as long as you can plug it in. If it's not saving files, it just means the battery is dead. You can unscrew it, open it up, put a new watch battery in that, and you're good to go.
Easiest thing in the world.
I've done it.
I am the most untechnical person in the world. And I could change the battery in a Super Nintendo game.
I did it at like 13 or 12 or something. I did with a Sega cartridge, and I was like,
oh, that's super easy. You just need the little,
now I know,
the little tiny screwdriver.
Sega, I think, was just a regular screws. And then really? Super Nintendo were weird because Nintendo's always had like proprietary type things. So you'd have to find something that would unscrew it.
Make everything hard.
Yeah, I would have paid that Chrono Trigger because, like I said, the only other way you can play it easily on a console hooked to a TV is through the PlayStation, which you will be syncing an extra. By the time you're done playing the 12 playthroughs, 20 extra hours end up sitting there for those load screens.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's right. Jeez.
It's not worth it.
Dude, I hate load screens. That was the worst thing about Symphony of the Night, the PlayStation one, was the fucking load screens in between all the levels. Or reloading your game. God forbid you died. On 4, at least, it just goes, you died. You want to restart? Okay. And then you go and you restart the game. It's nice and quick. That was the great thing about Super Nintendo games. Everything just kind of happened. You didn't have to really wait for it to happen. You turned it on, press start, game started.
Well, this is the beauty of cartridge-based gameplay in general.
If the N64 was pretty good about it,
If it weren't for the fact that obviously there was just a space limitation at some point, obviously we would never get away from it because just the access, the way they played was just always going to be fast. When it's on a CD, they have or any kind of medium like that, Blu-ray, all the new stuff. It has to read that. It's not instant. Like the cartridge becomes part of the circuitry. It plugs into the circuit board.
That's what those little prongs are.
Yes, it's plugging into the circuit board. It is becoming part of, whereas in the CD, even though theoretically that is what happens, it has to be read and then stored on another part that is then part of the whole thing.
There's still a time delay in between those processes. No matter how fast your laser is, there's still time.
And people can say, again, we've already talked Sega, we talked Super Nintendo. We know why Sega was my favorite. That being said, I still will tell you Super Nintendo looked better than Sega every day of the week.
Yeah.
I just loved Sega more because I had access to so much
all
of
that
it.
Cool stuff.
Right?
I have the special love for Super Nintendo because it's what I had for so long until 1999, until when I got the PlayStation finally.
And again, I was also jealous because Sega has like 4 role-playing games or franchises, but even in those franchises, it's usually only 1 or 2 of each. If it makes you
feel better, I had to rent most of them, and I didn't get very far.
Well, but I don't even care. I just didn't get to play them. The Super Nintendo had so many role-playing games.
I never got to. Oh, there's a good one. What games did you not get to play? Good topic.
Like ever?
Yeah.
Or just like back
then?
Breath of Fire 2, Breath of Fire. I think 1 was also available on the Sega, so I definitely played it. But I don't think 2 was. 2 might have been Super Nintendo.
Screwed you over completely? They just moved them all over to Nintendo?
Well, 3 was only on the PlayStation, so if we're going to talk about screwing people over...
Wow, they just fucked you 3 ways, didn't they?
So again, I'm not going to go there.
You're a little bitter.
Well, because it's one of my favorite franchises, dude. I love the Breath of Fire games.
I played the one on PlayStation. Yeah, it's
3?
really
It's fun.
3 is really super fun.
With the Dragon Gems.
Yeah.
2 is a lot of the same type of gameplay, dude. There's no gems, I don't think, or if there are, it works a little bit different. But there is a whole like system for doing like power moves, just like that.
The super magic
dragons
forms and shit.
Well, and you can just do this weird like again, since this is closer to Super Nintendo, you can do this weird like hybridization thing. Like you can fuse 2 characters, because again, you'd get a party that's more than what you could have on field at a time, right? But you get these power things where you could fuse 2 characters. So like this one would get the powers like boost from the kind of skill set the other one had, change their colors a little bit. It was cool.
Yeah,
it was a nifty effect.
It's pretty cool.
I loved it.
I'm gonna add this.
And again, I don't know if I've ever
adding this one to the list.
I don't know if I've ever beat it, because I started playing it as an adult, where it's not a super long role playing game, but
most of them weren't.
Well, and again, but I'm the kind of person that I want to do everything.
All of it.
I will find side quests. I'll spend extra time doing things that don't fucking matter for no reason, because in other games, that's how you might find a side quest. I just never beat it by the time I got to. And again, like this is the era of I was probably playing it on an emulator on a computer, so it was probably a combination of like the keyboard layout felt weird for some of the game, because that game has like any good JRPG has a fishing side quest.
Of course.
It has it has all the things that literally pull you into the world.
Yeah.
It has a flying castle. It becomes your home base, and you can literally just like pick it up and fly around the map.
That's better than an airship. Oh, I'm not gonna lie, that's cooler. You get the airship in Final Fantasy all the time. That's way cooler. I want a flying castle. Fuck your airship.
I think it was not a castle, it was a village. It was definitely like a whole. It was like a whole piece of land.
Yeah, the whole continent comes up and we fly away.
As you can hear, I enjoy that game immensely, but it's definitely one I did not get to play as much as I wish I could have.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always on the lookout for Super Nintendo games that I played when I was a kid. I only got to play Final Fantasy 3 like once because I rented it.
And so if you rented it, we're talking like 3 days?
Yeah,
at best.
At best, if mom paid the extra, right?
Yeah, well, sometimes if you pick it up certain holidays, places would be like it's a 3-day rental at normal 2-day rental price. Yeah.
So I didn't get fucking hardly anywhere, but I've always wanted.
No, those are the kind of games where even back then, like because it was new to people. Yes. Today, if you were to give me one of those games, well, probably not today. I've got kids, and it's really hard to dedicate like the kind of time.
I probably could.
3 days, you could definitely beat that,
I
right?
Could probably definitely
because it's probably only a 45-hour role-playing game. Yeah. We're talking now in an era where most role-playing games are like 100+ hours.
300+ hour.
At
add
least.
all the side quests in.
And so like 40?
Nothing.
40 is nothing. And 40 is probably doing it completionist.
100%.
Yeah, like that's not even completionist. Like you can probably mad rush through most of those in like 20, 25.
Yeah, that's me. I'm that guy. I'm like, I'm just strong enough to beat the boss. I earned this.
So
I don't care. I like side quests though. I have a really hard time about like doing the main quest.
See, this is what happens to me in most RPGs. I start by I'm addicted to the side quests, like I said, but by virtue of doing that, then you get so close to 100%ing most of them. Other than Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9, those ones you gotta do so much to like really the materia and
the card game and all that. Other shit.
Yeah, those ones don't matter. But for most other role-playing games, by virtue of doing all the side quests, you are already almost maxing out your characters. You've already found a lot of the items that might be hidden.
Shit, yeah.
And so like by virtue of it, I usually just try to go ahead and 100% them because I'm so close. Yeah. I've already done so much. Chrono Trigger again being the exception because that one has so much.
I would love to play Earthbound. Did you ever play Earthbound?
Dude, I love Earthbound. You've never played Earthbound?
No, I never played Earthbound.
Stop it. That's
I've heard
that came in like the
Tale.
That came in like the bigger box and everything.
I saw it when I was a kid, and I was just like,
I want to say,
never got to play it.
I want to say one of our cousins had it growing up.
That's probably where I saw it.
I'm pretty sure. I definitely remember seeing the box at their house.
Yeah, I never got to play Earthbound, but I've heard
that game is great.
Crazy.
Dude, again, if you like RPGs, I don't understand how you've not even like. tried to ROM play it or something at this point. Dude, that game is great because
It's on my.
it's everything you want in an RPG. You like normally when you play an RPG, the only thing you get is fantasy worlds, right? This is in the real world.
Yeah, you're like
baseball
a little kid with
little
baseball
Ness.
bats. Yeah, little Ness. Yeah.
So many people. I can remember growing up and kids. Like in the first
Super Smash Brothers.
People not knowing
who Little Ness was,
and me having to be like, "Shut up."
I didn't know who he was.
Yeah, dude. No, that's great, dude. It's a great game, and there's 4 characters, and you name each of them along the way. Like, so literally, you can name all your friends. You can make it your friend group.
Before you could do that in like Final Fantasy VIII and shit.
You could literally make them your friend group.
Nice. Yeah, that's another one I wanted. And I'm currently looking for, and is probably expensive.
Oh, dude, you're never gonna find that.
I was just saying, I'm never gonna get this one.
You're gonna have to if you want to play it. Just play a ROM or find it. Like get a Switch and play it from the Switch. I take that back. I don't think it's even available
It's not even on the Switch. I'm doomed.
Like there's a whole thing. I just read a thing that was all about how like that franchise. It's just like it's very locked into Japan, dude. Like because in Japan that game is.
I've heard it's like playing through a fucking weird ass anime.
It is. It's very, dude. It's super. There's a whole dream world too, and there's like aliens coming down to Earth, and it's so bizarre. It's so fun, dude.
Like I've seen people like the videos where people playing like the fight screen. It's got all that trippy, swirly colors in the background and shit.
So
I was like, dude, I
dope.
want to play this game so fucking bad.
It's a good one, man. So in Japan, it's Mother 2. Earthbound is technically the second one. I'm pretty sure.
The second one, I hate it when
there was one in
the
Nintendo called Mother, and there's also one that has been finished called Mother 3. I don't know what system it was for, but again, never left Japan.
Never. Damn it! Come on, guys, you need to share better.
Yeah, I don't understand
I don't know why they do shit.
I don't understand that at all. Yeah, Earthbound's a great one, dude.
All right, let me see. Let me think. That's another one that I really fucking want.
That's just it. Like I can't think of a whole lot that I wanted to play that I never got to at this point because I was such a big. I know you weren't huge into doing ROMs unless I set them up for you. Me, on the other hand, I was the kid that played ROMs on my computer and shit all the time. So I can't think of very many that I wanted to play that I ever tried.
Yeah.
At this point, if I wanted to, I probably tried it. I've probably tried so many that were duds and like too many to remember. That's why it's harder for me to like pinpoint something unless it's these big ones. These big ones are like they stand out, like my favorites. Like I love this one because it's great.
This one's great.
Obviously, honorable mention. Even though like that sounds crazy to honorable mention this one, Super Mario World.
Oh God, I suck at that one so bad.
Stop it! Stop it!
No, I can't get past World 2, and it makes me so angry.
We're talking about the one with Yoshi,
yes,
right?
the one with Yoshi, and it's all nice and pretty and colorful, and you can ride him. I can't get past World 2. I suck at Mario.
So that's just when you climb up the ladder area, or is that when you go into the cave?
I think you go in the cave.
Okay.
I suck, man. I don't know what to tell you. I am the worst platformer gamer.
I beat that game 6 ways to Sunday.
This is why I play RPGs, because usually the characters just kind of stayed in one place, and I just kind of had to go click through the nice little screen that said do this or that, and then they do it. I didn't have to worry about timing anything, really. But yeah.
But still, honorable mention. It is definitely a platformer.
It is fun.
It introduced the world to Yoshi.
Yeah.
It is definitely
Yoshi's Island. I like that one. That one's fun.
With the baby Mario.
With the
it's
baby
okay.
Mario.
I have a friend, and we lived together in college, and he definitely 100% of that game while we were living together.
Nice.
And it was painstaking.
A man of class.
It took him a long time.
Man, I am the worst fucking platform gamer. Like, I have the RoboCop game. I can get to like level 3 or 4.
Man.
And there's only 6 levels on that game, right? So I'm like, I'm super close.
Maybe it's because
but that's as far as
maybe
I
it's
can
because
get.
I grew up in the Nintendo era where like 80% of the games were, Nintendo wasn't.
I caught the tail end of it.
Yeah, Nintendo's processing power wasn't great enough to do much beyond platforming games.
Yeah.
And even then, but there was tons of those where the backgrounds were solid black or solid blue.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't do anything if you were moving that much in the background.
Right.
Because it would just slow everything
down. Too many sprites on the screen.
Yeah. So maybe that's why they're not my favorite type of game. I am 100% more of a story-driven type of gamer.
Those.
It doesn't even have to be an RPG, but any kind of game. And so platformers are very rarely driven by story.
I like fighting games. There's story there usually.
Yeah. Like platformers are usually just like there is a very base basic setup of a story in the beginning, and then they're like, now you're just going to go a ton of worlds that you do the same thing.
Jump here.
So again, they're not my favorite, but as you have said a few times, I am really good at them.
Yeah, I suck.
But it's probably just from the fact that most games I played growing up were platforms.
I was of the age where my thumbs didn't want to do what I wanted them to when the Super Nintendo was really prevalent. But by the time PlayStation 1 came around, that's where I started actually being able to beat games.
Oh, I know something that we can mention. One other thing that we did share that was not a game, but was the Super Nintendo. You remember the special controller? The clear controller?
The clear controller.
You could see the wires.
You could see all the
circuitry.
wires and shit.
Had the slow-mo button, the slow-mo switch on the back, so you could switch into slow-mo mode.
That was awesome.
That was one of those
ones.
Lit
up, had little red lights and stuff in it.
That was one of those ones I made my dad buy. Like, we had two regular, like, actual
the gray ones.
And then something happened. I don't know if the dog got to it or Dad probably tried playing something.
The wall.
If I had to guess, that's probably what it was. I was never informed of that, though. This would be a complete guess. But something happened in it. It was no longer working, and we needed a new one. And so we had to go buy a new one. And we got there, and I was like looking and looking. I'm not trying to brag. This is not me. I wasn't special. Everybody back then wanted the stuff that was clear, see-through, with circuitry in it.
Clear
that was the thing. That was the thing. It started in the late '80s and it went through mid '90s at least.
You wanted the clear.
You wanted the clear thing that let you see the circuitry.
Dope ass TV that was clear.
Yes,
I saw one. It was really cool.
I remember getting to the store and seeing it and being like, I want that one, which now makes me feel like it probably was Dad that broke it because it probably felt bad.
Yeah.
And was like, God damn it, I'm gonna have to get him this one.
Yeah, because I am the one who threw it.
The other one is gone.
I snapped it in half because I couldn't beat that fucking Mario.
I think that's true.
I did break, and it wasn't a Super Nintendo game; it was a Nintendo game. But I did rip the Afterburner 2 cartridge out of the Nintendo and throw it against the wall, and it just shattered into a million shiny silver pieces.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, don't throw your games. It's not good for them.
Well, all right, man. I want to say we've been talking about Super Nintendo long enough, and I definitely feel like I've mentioned most of my strong memories.
Yeah, mine too.
Of Super Nintendo, like from both childhood and, like I said, some of these games are things I played later, but again, like they strengthened my connection to Super Nintendo when I played them. Just made you love
it more,
right? Like they made me again feel that wish I could have played them back then, but still, it just makes me feel like that connection to them,
that
even though I didn't play
that made me go,
because it makes me think about like how I might have been when I was a kid if I would have played that. It's a good feeling.
That drive that makes you just be like, I want to rebuild my collection.
Yeah, I don't know what to call that because that's not nostalgia because I didn't play it then, but it makes me feel the way I would have if I would have played it then. I don't know. These words are getting weird.
We need a psychologist for that one.
On that note, though, I definitely think we can go ahead and wrap this one up. We've had a lot of fun. It's been good.
It's been good.
First, I gotta say, this beer was phenomenal.
It's grapefruit juice in a can.
It is very citrusy.
It was very citrusy.
It looked like lemonade.
It did.
When I was pouring it in the glass, it was like cloudy lemonade, and not in a bad way. I don't mean that like I know that almost sounds disgusting, but no, I mean like in the most pleasant looking way.
It's like, oh man, it was like some country time.
Yeah, it looked great. Tasted refreshing. This is definitely, again, maybe not the best kind of beer for this time of year.
No, probably not.
I prefer this on a spring/summer day. It's hot out. I'm sitting outside somewhere.
Barbecuing beer.
It's so, you're right. It's refreshing. Again, like you want something like that to make you just like, if you're feeling hot, you're still hot, but you feel better after you take a sip of something like this.
That's better.
That being said, there's nothing wrong with drinking it now.
No, drink it whenever you want.
And my preferred time would just be like springtime/summertime.
That's SuperDelic.
I can't wait. A little bit of a spoiler. We definitely have a few other things that Mirror Twin makes that'll be on the upcoming slots. They've got a few that we have literally been eyeballing.
They have clever names
for things that we want to do for a while. This just happened to be the one that we ended up working in first.
And it worked. Just had to kind of work it in last second, and it worked perfectly. I'm so glad.
I want to point out they had two that would have worked perfectly for this.
Right.
So it was good. I recommend it.
Yeah, try it. Go try it. You should be able to find it in most of your liquor stores online.
Yeah, Mirror Twin. Again, I think that's a local one.
Is it?
I think so.
Let me see. I got the can here.
Check.
Oh, so they are.
All right, yeah.
They're from Lexington. Nice local people. Good job, guys.
And so proud to support them, and
Hell yeah.
and super happy to know that again we've got others that we
there's
are
more that
already
we're planning to
use
try for these guys.
We love supporting a local. As you guys probably have already figured out, most of the beers we've done, we don't usually use major ones.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and give a little bit of a side away because Bo's about to do our next one. It is by a major company, but most of ours by no choice of our own, just because again naming conventions are usually perfect.
Yeah, the name matches
from
up with
smaller
stuff
craft
so
stuff.
better, so much better sometimes.
And so most of our stuff are craft things from Ohio,
Indiana,
and Kentucky. And so I just wanted to throw that out because sometimes we forget to mention some of the like where they come from. Well, it's not in our head.
Yeah,
we think about it when they're local boys because we're always like, oh, that's nice.
Some good old Kentucky boys brew.
But yeah, so most of ours though usually are like bigger craft brewing in the tri-state area there.
There you go.
Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky. Like I said already, with a little bit of a hint there. The next one we're doing is not a local to the tri-state area.
Nope, this is a little bit further away.
Yeah. And a bigger company.
A much bigger company.
So go ahead, take it away.
A company so big that they bought another company just to brew this beer. This is the Guinness Open Gate Brewery, Baltimore Blonde.
Yeah, and so that's their brewery in Baltimore.
Yeah, Guinness bought a brewery in Baltimore and
to start making things like this. To make things, this is where they do things that are the non-Guinness.
Yeah,
those things are done in Ireland. Again, they might brew them somewhere else after the fact, but again, like they don't do the recipe perfecting there. They do that type of stuff at this one. This is like their test brewery.
Yeah, I'm excited to try this. I love Guinness. I want to see their take on an American beer, I guess.
I guess. It says with notes of citrus. We'll find out.
Ooh, more citrusy things.
But don't forget, guys, like we already told you, like this one was. We are full on back into
the game.
Having the game. If you want to know what we're doing next week, if you want a jump on what we're talking about, the only way to get there is by figuring out
what the connection
what our clue connects to.
So again, that is Baltimore Blonde from Guinness Open Gate Brewing Company. You know where to leave your guesses. We're back in the game. I'm excited. Let's all play. Right.
So, as is maybe becoming a little bit of a trend now, it won't happen all the time, but every now and then we'll have words from our little bit of a guest speaker here, my son, whenever he can give us a little bit of input. Even though he's only 6, he is a massive gamer.
Yep.
He loves games. And so when he found out we were talking about games, he said he wanted to say something. So we were like, you can play some Super Nintendo and tell us what your favorite game is. So go ahead, bud.
My favorite game is Super Mario World.
Why is that one your favorite?
Why? This have all the levels.
And which character?
Mario and Luigi.
And
Yoshi.
That one's your favorite?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, bud.
This has been Jack's Corner.
Did you want to tell them what they should do for us?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what should they do?
Strive and punch the bell.
There you go.
That's right, bud.
Good job. How about another round and some Mario Kart? Playing my pilot wings.